What up, everybody? Demon back, and today I'm in a new location. I'm actually at my dad's house. Usually I record from my mom's house, so that explains the scenery change. So today I went and saw two movies in theaters. It's pretty much my whole day used up. Great use of time. Two movies that I think are good movies, and I had a really fun time today. But gotta do my reaction review for each movie now, so that's gonna be fun. So the two movies that I went and saw were Batman v Superman and 10 Cloverfield Lane. Now, surprisingly, this took me completely off guard. Batman v Superman is a movie that I hyped up for a long time. I had a high expectation for, whereas 10 Cloverfield Lane, when I heard about it, I was less than thrilled because I did not like the first Cloverfield. In fact, I hated it. The use of shaky cam really ruined the entire movie. From a good premise, which is a monster attack, and I only say that's a good premise because I'm a big kaiju fan, so of course I'm going to like it. But the use of shaky cam just completely ruined the movie. So then when I found out it was getting a sequel, I didn't care. I didn't want to see it, and yeah. And surprisingly, out of the two movies I went and saw today, I liked 10 Cloverfield Lane a lot more than Batman v Superman. So, let me get into why in this review, which is Batman v Superman. So, this was the first movie I saw today, so it makes sense that I do it first. So I'm gonna try and do a spoiler-free section right now, before I get into spoilers later, okay? So spoiler-free. Batman v Superman. Bruce Wayne was in Metropolis, watched the destruction happen during Man of Steel, got very mad about it. So he swears revenge on the alien Superman. Meanwhile, Clark Kent finds out about the Batman and how he is branding he's branding the criminals, and he is just making himself out to be above the law, doing things that a citizen should not do. So he has a problem with Batman. The two clash, and a pretty cool showdown happens. Well, after that, it is ended abruptly when a giant monster created by Lex Luthor breaks free and gets loose in a city. And in order to defeat this monster, Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman all must team up and take it on. So that is the general premise of it. That is the spoiler-free premise of it. That is what you know after watching the first three trailers. The thing about this movie is it's a good movie, but it really should have been 2 or 3 different movies. Gonna try and keep it spoiler-free. So this could have easily been split up into Man of Steel 2. There's one right off the bat. Batman v Superman would have been its own thing. And then Dawn of Justice or versus Doomsday could have been a completely different movie. 3 different subplots going on in this movie that linked together, but I don't think they linked together as well as the makers would have liked them to. And I do not blame anyone involved in this movie other than Zack Snyder. I think he is the worst thing about these movies, Man of Steel and this. And the reason I know this is because both of them suffered from a lot of the same problems. I guess I should probably talk about what I liked and didn't like, spoiler-free, first. So, I really liked Ben Affleck as Batman. I was iffy on him at first because my only other real exposure to Ben Affleck was Daredevil, and anyone who's seen that movie Daredevil with Ben Affleck knows why that's a problem. It says something when an award-winning actor such as Ben Affleck, doesn't even compare to Charlie Cox, the current Daredevil. There's that. But in this movie, Ben Affleck is an amazing Bruce Wayne. He is a really good Batman. He is a Batman who knows how to fight, unlike the Christian Bale Batman, who he knew how to throw down when necessary, but he wasn't nearly as good at it. And I know that's kind of an unfair comparison because Christian Bale was just being Batman. Ben Affleck has been Batman for 20 plus years. The action sequences with Batman in this were a lot better. Just because Batman was more powerful and knew what he was doing more. So Batman, Ben Affleck, Bruce Wayne, best part of the movie. Number 2, and I'm going in order of how I liked it. Probably gonna have to say the way the movie builds tension. Just the build up to the battle between Batman vs Superman is, I think, really good. It starts at a point, it starts at the beginning when Bruce Wayne is in Metropolis and then escalates from there until we get to this final fight, which is, if you've seen the trailers, you pretty much know all there is to know about the fight. But so I guess that could be on the worst list. Anyways, back to the best list. I'll get there. This is my reaction review. Thought Ben Affleck as Bruce Wayne, all that was good. Thought the way that it built tension was good. It was a 2-hour, 30-minute movie. Felt longer than that. I don't know if that's a good or bad thing, but that just meant it had more time to make you really feel the weight of the situation. I liked Gal Gadot's Wonder Woman. I'm probably going to say. I don't know much about Wonder Woman. I've seen her in the animated series that she's been in, such as Justice League and Super Friends, if you want to count that. I watched that as a kid. For those of you who know what Super Friends are, surprise. Anyways, that's pretty much my exposure to her. This was probably the best Wonder Woman I've seen, going off those 3 things that I know her from. Yeah, she did a really good job. The Wonder Woman solo movie should be good. I hope. Hopefully it's better than this one. Because this movie I liked. I did not love. I'm going to make that clear, if you couldn't tell already. So now, next thing I liked, probably Henry Cavill as Superman. Pretty much the same as he was in Man of Steel. He's a good Superman. He's not my Superman. Still waiting for kind of the Superman that I consider my defining Superman. Probably at this point, what's his name? From the old movies is probably my defining Superman. Only the first 2 of those were good, and the second one's only good depending on what version you watch, so I'll tell you something. Superman's good. Alfred. Not quite sure who does Alfred in this movie, who plays him. Probably should have looked it up. Whoever played Alfred did a good job. This is a hands-on Alfred. This is an Alfred that does things unlike the others. He's more involved. He supports Bruce Wayne as Batman, and I like him. What else did I really like about it? Visually, it was a good movie, and I think that's where Zack Snyder really excels. He knows how to make a cool scene. That's what he does. He makes cool scenes and then tries to have a story around it. That's how I think he operates. Which is not the best way to do it. Not even close. From there, visually it was good. The score was actually good, in my opinion. It was pretty good. Whoever did the soundtrack for it, I thought, did a good job. I enjoyed the music. I liked listening to it, and I actually wound up getting caught up in the music a lot of the times more than I did in the plot, which is not a great thing. Other things that I liked, I mean, it was great to see Maggie and Negan get killed at the very beginning, just because I know who they are, and please don't let either of those 2 die in the Walking Dead series upcoming. So, you know, there's that. That's really all I liked about the movie. You know, another thing I liked was that I looked up critic reviews and user reviews before going into the movie, and they all were just ripping on it horribly. I hope that's not what you think I'm doing here. I enjoyed the movie. Like I've said, I liked it, but I didn't love it, as I've said. Um, so I'm not here to rip on it. I'm here to give my opinion on both sides of why I think it works and didn't work. Uh, so, um, the thing that I like, reading these reviews, I know I'm just all over the place. Once again, I apologize for that. Reading these reviews and then watching the movie, I was very happy to find out that the Civil War video, or the Civil War trailer, that I did a like 45-minute breakdown of on my channel, so happy that was not my favorite part, because sometimes trailers wind up being my favorite part of the movie when a movie just sucks. That was not this movie. This movie didn't suck, luckily. I guess kind of, I got really hyped up for it up until people started watching it, and I saw it the day after it came out, sadly. Usually I like to see movies opening day, didn't get to for this one. But all these reviews, and all I've heard was bad things about it pretty much, other than minus a couple YouTubers that I saw reviews for were just ripping on it, so I was really worried that it was going to be sucky. So I guess my expectations were so lowered to the point that it was kind of the Terminator Genisys situation that I had, where all I had heard was that Terminator Genisys sucked, and then I saw Terminator Genisys and it was a lot better than I thought it would be, which is why I like it as much as I do. And that's probably why I liked Batman v Superman as much as I did, just because my expectations were so lowered to the point where it would be hard to disappoint from there. Now, let's get into the things that I didn't like. Number one, right off the bat, this is probably the biggest thing that I didn't like. Batman killing. Okay, now I know Batman's probably, I'm going to say Batman's killed in the comics before. I can't tell you when. I don't know for 100% fact that he has. I just know Batman's been around long enough that, yeah, he's killed someone. In the Tim Burton movies, he killed people all the time. Christian Bale's Batman, I'm sure, accidentally killed someone. If you play those Arkham video games, especially Arkham Knight, you're driving around in a tank. You drive cars off a bridge, and yeah, it tells you they're not dead. It tries to pretend that someone could survive a 50-foot fall, but you know they're dead. So Batman's killed before, but he does so much in this movie. It's insane. And the other thing, this is another thing that I really did dislike, was Batman using guns all the time. And I know some of the guns were like gadget guns. That's okay. You can do gadget guns, but guess what? Not all of them were. Most notably, the nightmare sequence that we saw so much of in the trailers, that everyone was like, oh, that's got to be a nightmare. The toy's called Nightmare Batman. It's got to be just Doomsday's vision, or Darkseid's vision. Well, yeah, it was Darkseid's vision. Or it was a nightmare he had that I'm assuming is a vision from Darkseid, or, well, we all know it's for Darkseid. But even in that, there's a point when Batman realizes that the guards in the car aren't giving him kryptonite to kill Superman. They're giving him sorry, it took me so long to think about what I was saying. They're giving him a briefcase thing with a light bulb in it, and all of a sudden he just whips out this gun. This is spoiler alert, I guess. And he just starts shooting people. And then he gets out of the car. Yeah, we were right in the trailer. People who break down trailers. I didn't break down that one personally, but I did frame by frame it for myself. He does snap a guy's neck, kills him, shoots a whole bunch of other people up, and yeah. So he just, they're not faithful to Batman, really. And it's gonna be pretty hard for me to not spoil things. If I've spoiled things already up to this point, I'm sorry. Like I've said, I'm tired. I kind of forgot to not spoil things, so I hope I haven't. All I've talked about is my best and worst so far. I don't think I spoiled much or anything. But moving on from them just being or not faithful to Batman, another thing I didn't like, Superman killing too much. Another spoiler alert, I'll make a weird hand gesture when I'm done spoiling, okay? So I'm going to start it now, okay? I'll do this when I'm done, alright? So, this very first incident, the very first time we see Superman, he grabs a terrorist and slams him through a wall. That guy's dead. There's that much to it. I don't know. Welcome back if you just unmuted me. Anyways, you probably didn't because no one watches me. Anyways, Superman kills too much also. And I know he killed Zod at the end of Man of Steel. I'm okay with that. Zod needed to die. I'm okay with Superman killing now and then. Superman doesn't need to be goody two-shoes, not killer, like Batman, who doesn't kill. But, you know, it's kind of too much that he does. From there, things I didn't like were Lois Lane. She had a lot to do in the plot, but nothing important to do in the plot at the same time. She was there a lot, but had nothing to offer to the story. So that's my biggest complaint with her. Martha Kent's alright. What else did I not like? The Batman v Superman battle. The battle was great, okay? So this is not 100% on my worst list. It was just too short. That's on my worst list. It was too short of a battle. From there, things I didn't like. Surprisingly, surprisingly, I've heard a lot of good things about Jesse Eisenberg's Lex Luthor. Jesse Eisenberg himself did a really good job playing Lex Luthor. But he was horribly miscast. He did the best job he could playing a character he was not meant to play. That's how I see it. From there, things I didn't like. This senator. What did she have to offer to the story? The senator who holds Superman on a court trial is just there over and over and over again doing nothing important. Okay? All the way up until the last scene she's in. She does nothing important. She's just there. Oh, I don't think I like Superman because he's not answering to a country. Over and over again. Another thing I didn't like. The implementation of, and no, I said that word horribly wrong. You know what I meant. The way they implemented visions and nightmare sequences into the movie were completely random, came out of nowhere, and it had me mistrusting myself. I'm going to get into brief spoilers here, so once again, weird hand signals, okay? Now, I assume people are muted if they don't want to hear spoilers, or if they don't care, then they're still here, or if you've already seen it, you're still here. Once again, no one watches me, so I'm talking to no one right now anyways, so... anyways, what was I going to say? Okay, so, I know I wanted... Okay, my eyes mistrusting myself. Here's what I'm talking about. There's a scene when Clark Kent, or Superman, gets all upset and runs away. He goes to the mountains somewhere, and he has a vision of his dad, his dead dad, who died in the tornado like an idiot. He has a vision of him, and he has a conversation with him. And then there's also the nightmare sequence with Batman, and then another nightmare sequence with Batman where I'm assuming Flash comes out of a wall. I don't know if that is Flash, but could be. I could be wrong.
She's the key!
Tell me below who that was, because I don't know. I couldn't tell who that was. He was dressed in red. That's the only thing I have to go off saying he's Flash. Um, so, after those two scenes happen, there's a scene when, this is the spoiler, Lex Luthor pushes Lois Lane off of LexCorp roof, and she is like plummeting way down to the ground. Um, and then all of a sudden, Superman swoops in and saves her. Now, the way Superman comes in is, so say this is her falling, like her body, like facing like that. All of a sudden, Superman just like rolls up, grabs her, and takes her away. Okay? Now, the thing that's wrong with that is when Superman came up, I was like, oh, she's dead. This is a vision. She's gonna hit. Anyone who thought this was me unspoilerifying it, I'm not. I'm sorry, just doing hand. I thought she was gonna hit the ground and splat. So she didn't because it was the real Superman, but still, I was mistrusting myself. I was not trusting what I was seeing because I'd already seen tons of hallucinations and visions throughout that movie up until the point, or that point. So that's a problem. Now, these are my hand gestures, okay, guys? Alright, just go with it. No spoilers for now. Other things I didn't like. Doomsday sucked. And I know a lot of people are like, oh, don't bag on it just because it doesn't look like the comics. He'll look like that. He'll turn into that throughout the fight. Guess what? That's what he turns into. What we see in the trailer is what the final product of Doomsday pretty much is. Doomsday looks horrible up until that point through the trailer. Way worse. When he comes out of this little egg cocoon thing, and the whole way Doomsday was birthed in the movie, I'll get into in the spoiler section, but it is ridiculously stupid. Now, the way that Doomsday, he looks terrible. Him and Superman have a little scuffle, and he winds up looking like we see him in the trailer. And quick spoiler alert, he does wind up becoming more like the Doomsday from the comic when he gets his hand chopped off by Wonder Woman and it like grows into like a sword flipper thing. So he does wind up looking a little more decayed towards the end, but up till that point, not really. Unspoilers for now. So yeah, Doomsday was not good. It kind of just felt like a cheap way to get Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman all to team up together. Not sure that should have happened this movie. Like I said, this could have easily been 3 movies. Now, I've talked about it enough unspoilering. So, I'm going to give it a quick rating for those of you who still haven't seen it. I give it a 3.5 out of 5. And that is not a bad thing. That is an okay movie. It was not perfect by any means. It was not amazing. It was good. Like I've said so much already. It was a good movie. This was a mindless action film. You really had to turn your brain off for this one. Go into it. Watch it. Forget about common sense, as I'll get into in the spoilers. There's a lot of common sense problems in this movie. And yeah. So 3.5 out of 5. Go see it. Just make sure to turn your brain off. Don't be like me and sit there and try and analyze it scene for scene. Don't. So, for those of you who haven't seen it, why? Go check it out. Now, spoiler section from here on out. Alright? So I guess let's just get right into it. Why? Why? Lex Luthor. Why? He is. Well, he's Alexander Luthor Jr. So, he's not Lex Luthor, but he's just an awkward, whiny brat. That's all his character is, an awkward, whiny brat. And I don't like it. I didn't like it. I don't. I wanted someone else to play him. I know Jesse, like I've said, Jesse Eisenberg did the best job he could. I really felt like he tried. He gave it the best job that he could. But he just was miscast horribly. And you know what else about him? He needs to learn how to blow his nose. During that final scene with him, during the final scene, with him, he's sitting there like yelling, "They're coming for you," because he got all this Kryptonian knowledge, because he got into the crashed ship from General Zod by cutting off Zod's fingers with a kryptonite blade, or fingertips with a kryptonite blade, getting into the tip by like scanning them. He got into like this healing chamber. This is how Doomsday is created, because he cuts his hand, rubs blood all over General Zod's body, and then just lets it morph into Doomsday. Um, so it was, he's just, he was stupid. He really was. And then during this final monologue, he's sitting there like screaming in a jail cell at the very end of the movie because Batman shows up out of nowhere, punches a wall with this branded bat signal or symbol, and then disappears out of nowhere. And I know, Batman does it all the time. He disappears. Well, not like that. He punches a wall. Lex Luthor closes his eyes for like 2 seconds, opens them, and not only does Batman disappear in a second in that scene, but also the police officers just vanish out of nowhere. That's why I said you kind of have to turn your brain off and just go with it. Don't question it like me. So, other than that, the Senator, she added nothing to the story. She was there because this terrorist attack happens at the beginning. Lois Lane goes off and does her thing. Complete waste of time, if you ask me. We could have easily found out through Batman, the world's greatest detective, that, this bullet recovered from the terrorist site belongs to LexCorp. That would have been a great explanation. That would have made Batman way cooler, just showing that he has these detective skills. Anyways, on to the Senator. She is there to get killed. That is her role. The wheelchair dude, don't know his name, don't remember. He was a Wayne Corp employee. I don't know what's Wayne Industry. He was a Wayne Industry employee. He worked in the Wayne Tower that got destroyed in Metropolis. Something fell on his legs. He got crippled. Lex Luthor hooked him up with this electronic wheelchair. He rolled up into this court and was like, "Hey, man, Superman's bad. Let's hold a trial for him." And the Senator's like, "Yeah, sure. I've only been saying let's do that for the whole movie up to this point, but yeah, we'll do it now for no reason. Just because." So Superman comes to this trial, and then all of a sudden, completely predictable in my opinion, they blow up due to wheelchair guy had a bomb on him because of Lex Luthor. In an attempt to, I'm assuming, like incriminate Superman, make him look bad, and all that. Doesn't really work how they wanted it to. Just kind of made Superman look like a victim, which he was. Also, I want to say something really fast about this wheelchair guy. I really liked how he was the one who spray painted False God on the Superman's chest, on the Superman statue chest, as we saw in the very first trailer. I thought that was pretty cool. Anyways, the Senator's just there to get blown up. She has no real role. She just comes off as very annoying. And other spoilers. What else can I talk about really fast? Wonder Woman is alright in the movie. She's just there to steal a flash drive and then give it back. Or not even a flash drive, files from Bruce Wayne and then give it back. That's pretty much her first half role of the movie. And we don't really find out much about what the files were. We just found out that they have a picture of her as Wonder Woman from like way back when, and it makes her all mad, so she steals it. Bruce Wayne finds out about it, and yet is still surprised when she shows up at the end. Anyways, getting ahead of myself. Um, so she also clicks on some links. She sees this really weird thing of Aquaman who kind of just stares at the camera too long and then breaks it, and then Superman's his way through the water. And what I mean by that is when Superman jumps or flies in these movies, you see like the whole ground will shake and then just explode. And you see that happen with Aquaman underwater where he's just sitting there and then it just explodes and he's gone. That was pretty cool. Cyborg, when it shows how Cyborg gets created, he was like a torso with a head and a stump, and then this giant cube like starts morphing and jumps onto the body, and then it just grows. That was pretty cool too. And then we also see a Flash file because of this whole whatever they called it like an inhuman file, or called it a something file. I don't remember. Is the DC term for a metahuman, the metahuman file. And one of these metahumans was Flash. The guy who plays Barry Allen, no, not a fan of. I really am kind of used to Barry Allen from the Flash TV show. I've been watching that recently. So when I see this whole another guy, this weird guy who was like long hair, different color, kind of seems like a completely different character, all of a sudden just like start zipping around the screen. We don't see him zip. He's standing there in like this grocery or convenience store, and then all of a sudden lightning bolts appear everywhere around him. And then the other thing with him, I think he like flies through a monitor and grabs Bruce Wayne and is like, "Oh, Lois Lane, she's the key. Watch out for this Lois Lane," and then disappears, and it was all a dream. But first of all, how does Bruce Wayne know about him? Second of all, why did he come to Bruce Wayne? Third, why wasn't he wearing a mask?
You're not brave. Men are brave.
He warned him about Lois Lane when Lois Lane does nothing in the story. From there, things that I didn't like, I already covered. Doomsday, I pretty much covered everything I didn't like. Just some kind of common sense plot holes, like I mentioned earlier. The whole Batman v Superman thing could have ended so fast with Superman attempts this, where he lands at the beginning of the battle and he goes to Batman. He tries to be like, "Hey, I'm being forced to fight you. This guy called Lex Luthor kidnapped my mom and is gonna kill her if I don't bring him your head. Let's take him down together." Superman attempts that. 2 traps go off. Batman said it was awesome. That scene was freaking both hilarious and super cool at the same time when Batman and Superman very first come together. And that could have been solved so fast with him just not going and attacking Batman. If they had a like a 5-second conversation would have cleared it so fast up. The end of the fight, this spoiler section, why am I giving you spoiler alert? The end of the fight ends with Batman wins. He shoots 2 kryptonite grenade bombs at Superman. Superman's down. He grabs his kryptonite spear and is about to just stab him through the face. And then Superman's there and he's like, "You're killing Martha." And he's like, oh. Batman is like taken aback. He's like, oh, "How do you know that name?" He starts screaming. He's like, "How do you know that name?" Because Martha is his mother's name. Martha is Superman's mother's name. So they have that connection. And all of a sudden the fight's over. Just like that. They don't fight anymore. It's like a 20-minute fight. Super cool. But not even 20 minutes. Like a 15-minute, 10-minute fight. But it's super cool. So kind of overs there. Anyways, what else didn't I like? I kind of liked a lot more than I didn't like. This is really all. Now getting into some spoilery things that I like. I liked Like I said, I liked the fight with Batman and Superman. I liked the lead up to it when Superman comes, he's like, the bat is dead. Bury it. When he, like, stops Batman in the middle of Batman's mission, he comes out of nowhere and just ruins it all. Which ends at the end is resolved when Batman goes back to the docks and takes them all out like we saw in the trailer. And that all happens. Oh, here's the thing I didn't like. All the destruction. Come on, I thought we were done with this. Man of Steel got horribly ripped on because of all the destruction. So they're like, so okay, Batman shares your opinion. We're like, okay, well, Batman agrees with us, and then Batman's involved in more destruction than what happened originally in this movie. It's ridiculous. And I know that's all Doomsday's fault, but come on. There's a point when you just gotta go, no, we're not gonna destroy an entire city, which is Gotham City. We're gonna not let that happen. But, you know, they let that happen. So, and I feel like it would kind of be a waste for me to talk about this movie and then never mention the ending. So, I guess I'll be getting into that now. The movie ends with Superman. Well, first of all, before I even get into that, I'm going to talk about a question I had really fast. What was Batman's role in that final Doomsday battle, honestly? Pretty much all he did was avoid the big monster. Wonder Woman shows up, saves him, and then through the rest of the fight, he's just jumping around from building to building, hiding from this giant laser beam shooting monster. And then the only thing I can think that he did was at the very, very end of the fight, out of nowhere, pulled out a kryptonite gas bomb cartridge, which they had already said he ran out of, and fired it at Doomsday. So that's the only thing that I can think of that he does in that fight. And then when he shoots it, Superman flies in, grabs the kryptonite spear that Batman had earlier and was going to kill Superman with, and he stabs it into Doomsday. Superman stabs it into Doomsday's chest. Doomsday uses the big spike can because Wonder Woman chopped off his hand and it grew out bone. And Doomsday stabs into Superman's chest, kills him. The two of them kill each other, and that's when the movie should have ended. But it didn't. No, we got a funeral scene after that, and I was okay with that. The funeral scene dragged on a bit, but it was good setup for the next movies because it allowed us to know that we were going to be seeing pretty much Batman and Wonder Woman kind of traveling the globe, recruiting the Justice League. Should have ended there, right? But it doesn't. Nope, not after the funeral either. Then we cut to Lex Luthor in prison, which is what I was talking about earlier when he has that runny nose. He's sitting there screaming, and then all of a sudden the cops are standing there, lights go out, cops are vanished, Batman shows up, has that bat branding sign, and it looks like he's going to brand Lex Luthor's forehead with it. Now Lex Luthor is shaved bald, but he doesn't. He punches the wall, leaves a bat mark, and Lex Luthor does this kind of thing, and then when he looks back, Batman's gone somehow. Whatever, and then Lex Luthor just sits there screaming. Should have ended it there, right? But they don't. Nope, they had to cut to Lois Lane, throws a pile of dirt onto Superman's coffin. Not the fake coffin that the military paraded around the cities, but the real coffin, which was buried at the Kent farm. And then all of a sudden the dirt starts to rise out of nowhere, and that's when the movie ends. I really don't... Okay, this is one of my favorite and least favorite things about the movie, and I'm really split on it. I'm pretty happy that they had the balls to kill Superman. if you know what I mean. Like, not a lot of comic book movies you'd think would do that. I mean, take a look at the Avengers. They kill Agent Coulson, then all of a sudden he's back in a TV show, or a TV show. You can kill Bucky. He falls off a train, but then he's back. You kill this guy and that guy and this guy, and then they're back. That's how comic book movies are. So when they killed Superman, I was hoping that they wouldn't do that, or at least that they wouldn't bring him back yet. I figured if they wanted to go with this whole Death of Superman storyline, they could do the Rebirth Superman storyline, but I was hoping they would do that in a different movie, maybe Justice League. I didn't think they'd show it off at the end of this one. But they did. Kind of took away from the meaning of the whole Superman's dead scene. That's my least favorite part of it, is they kill him off, and then all of a sudden they bring him back out of nowhere, because, you can't kill off your star character. You can't do that. Man of Steel 2 is already coming out. We already know that. Superman signed up for Justice League. We already know that. So even when I saw him die, I knew he wasn't going to stay dead. But I appreciated that they did that. If they wanted to add Doomsday, at least they had Doomsday kill Superman to be faithful to the comic book counterpart. So, having said all that, that's pretty much my entire thoughts on this movie. I already gave it a rating, so I think I'll just re-go over that really fast. Ultimately, I would say it's a good movie, not great, like I've said over and over and over, but the thing that I think it has a problem with is I think it suffers from Amazing Spider-Man 2 syndrome. I think they tried to add too much into the movie, and they just couldn't. They hit their limit. They screwed up. And it created this big clustered movie that has split fans alike. Fans and critics. No one knows what to think of this movie. I would hope people give it a chance. I would hope people are like me and they see it as just a mindless action film. You turn your brain off, you can enjoy it. Don't analyze it. Just go have a good time. That's pretty much all I have to say. Once again, just in case you've forgotten by now, because this has been a pretty long review, I give it a 3.5 out of 5. So, go see it if you want. You might want to just wait for it to come out on TV. Watch it on HBO. I'm going to buy it on Blu-ray just because that's me. But I don't know if I actually... Well, I will. Thing is, I don't own Man of Steel on anything because I didn't like that movie, but when Batman v Superman comes out, maybe they could do a 2-pack and I'll buy them both, but I don't know. Thinking way in the future here. Shouldn't be. Anyways, got lots of videos for you guys coming out this week. Hope you enjoy. Going to be doing a lot of Walking Dead analysis and all that. So just stay tuned. Hope you enjoy. I'm D-Man. D-Man.